Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Muttama Shloke Bhaktirabhavati Nashtaki Kantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Reading Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 27th chapter, titled as Understanding the Material Nature. Text number 25. Kapiladev is explaining to Mata Devhuti that how every living entity is covered by the material nature, and under the influence of material nature, every living entity is performing various types of karmic activities, because of which one has to take repeated birth and death. But if one is serious enough to perform devotional service, then this influence of material nature is removed. The analogy is given is as in the fire, a wood is burnt. Similarly, the material nature and its effects are burned or destroyed by the devotional service, by the serious bhakti. Kapiladev is explaining to Mata Devhuti. In the previous shloka, he explained how a bhakti can transform one's life. So Kapiladev is saying that Bhukta bhoga pratiyakta drashta dosha cha nityasha neshvarya shubham dhatte sve mahimni sthitasya cha. So when one is engaged in devotional service, one's faultiness of desiring to become the master or to become the enjoyer is automatically removed. And once that tendency is removed, a living entity becomes independent, and he or she, the living entity becomes the servant of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the devotional service is very powerful. And if one really wants to be independent, then the devotional service is the way to go, because by devotional service, one becomes dependent on Krishna and one becomes independent of bhautik and material nature. So dependency of Krishna is real independence, because when one is dependent on Krishna, then one is freed from repeated cycle of birth and death. So if you really want to be free, independent, then one has to engage in devotional service of Krishna. Further, in this shloka, Kapiladev is explaining very beautifully about the power of devotional service. Here Kapiladev is explaining in this shloka, Yatha hi apratibuddhasya prashavapo bahava anarthabrat svaiva pratibuddhasya naivai moha kalpate. Yatha hi apratibuddhasya. Yatha hi apratibuddhasya. So here Kapiladev is saying apratibuddhasya. Apratibuddhasya. Buddhasya means awakening state. Apratibuddhasya means sleeping condition. So yatha hi apratibuddhasya prashavapaha bahu anarthabrat. So Srila Prabhupada is in word by word translation is explaining that one apratibuddhasya, in the sleeping state, prashavaha prashapaha, which means that dreaming condition. Bahu anartha bhrata. In the dreaming condition, one can have bahu anartha brat, can have very inauspicious dream. Saha eva pratibuddhasya. So here Srila Prabhupada is saying Saha eva, that very dream pratibuddhasya, in the when one is awakened, navai mohya kalpate. So pratibuddhasya means weakening condition. Navai mohya. Mohya means bewildering. Na means not. And kalpate, capable. So here Srila Prabhupada ji is explaining in the translation, in the dreaming state, one's consciousness is almost covered. And one sees many inauspicious things. But when he is awakened and one is fully conscious, such inauspicious things cannot bewilder him. So, very nice analogy is given by Kapila Dev to Mata Devhuti, that when we are sleeping, we might get a dream and we might get disturbed. But when we wake up, the same dream cannot disturb you. Similarly, when we are in material world, some of the things will disturb you. But when one is situated in the devotional service, the things which are disturbing you cannot disturb you anymore. So that is the very nice analogy given by Kapila Dev to Mata Devhuti, and Srila Prabhupada ji is explaining in the purport. In the condition of dreaming, when one's consciousness is almost covered, one may see many unfavorable things which can cause disturbance or anxiety. But upon awakening, although he remembers what happened in the state, he is not disturbed. So sometimes somebody gets a dream of a tiger or a lion in the dream. One may get disturbed in the dream, but when one wakes up, the tiger and lion is not there. So one knows, oh, that was a dream, it is not true. So one anxiety goes away. Here Srila Prabhupada is saying, similarly, the position of self-realization or understanding one's real relationship with the Supreme Lord makes one completely satisfied, and the three modes of material nature, Sattva-guna, Raja-guna or Tama-guna, which are the cause of all the disturbances, cannot affect one. So, three gunas, mainly Sattva, Raja and Tama-guna, under which we are working all the time. And these gunas are disturbing us all the time. So that causes anxiety. But when one awakens to his real position, no, I am part and parcel of Krishna. I am the spirit soul. And my relationship with this material nature is just temporary. So this material nature, the material existence is just like a dream state. While the spiritual nature, spiritual existence is the real awakening. So when one is in the dream under the material nature influence, it is a temporary. In the contaminated consciousness, one sees everything to be for his own enjoyment. But in pure consciousness or Krishna consciousness, he sees that everything exists for the enjoyment of Supreme Enjoyer. So under the dream, one thinks that, oh, I am the enjoyer. But when one is situated in the awakening position, we understand, oh, I am not the enjoyer. It is the Krishna who is the real owner, enjoyer. That is the difference between the dream state and wakefulness. So when one is awakened by Guru, Guru gives you the knowledge, oh, get up, get up, get up. Why? Because you are sleeping. Jiva jago, Gaura Chanda. So when we wake up, then we understand, oh, we are not this material nature, we are the spiritual by nature. And whatever I'm experiencing at this time is very temporary, it is not permanent. The state of contaminated consciousness is compared to the dream consciousness, and Krishna consciousness is compared to the awakened stage of life. So, when you awaken somebody, which is a Krishna consciousness, and one understands that, oh, I am not this material nature, I am the spirit soul, I am here for some time in this body. This body is a vehicle, and I am traveling. In this vehicle, I have to change. So, not to get attached too much with the vehicle, because that is just a transient vehicle. When you sit on a plane or a car or in a train, you get a seat, but that seat is temporary for the journey, and then you have to vacate the seat so somebody else will come and sit in the plane. You don't get attached to the seat because that is a temporary seat. Similarly, the position, the body which this Atma has been given is a temporary position in this particular lifespan. And then you have to vacate that seat. Atma has to give up this body and go to the another seat. So that's what happens. So the soul transmigrates. So that is awakening state. Actually, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, the only absolute enjoyer is Krishna. Krishna is the one who is Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Sudadam Sarva Bhutanam Gnatva Mam Shanti Vrachati. So here Bhoktaram, where Bhoktaram means Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada is giving a reference that the real enjoyer is Krishna. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram is the master of all the universes. One can understand that Krishna is the proprietor of all, Bhoktaram. All the three words, and that is that he is the friend of everyone. He is peaceful and independent. So Srila Prabhupada is giving a reference here. Suradam Sarva Bhutanam. Suradam means one who is friendly, which is one who is kind, well-wisher. Suradam, well-wisher is. Who is the well-wisher of everybody? So Krishna is the well-wisher of everybody. How? So Krishna is situated in our heart all the time as a Paramatma. Sarva Bhutanam. Now not only humans, but animals, insects, birds, reptiles, everywhere Krishna is there. And when one understands that, then one becomes independent. As long as a conditioned soul does not have this knowledge, he wants to be the enjoyer of everything. He wants to become the humanitarian or philanthropist and open hospitals and schools for his fellow human beings. This is all illusion. For one cannot benefit anyone by such material activities. Srila Prabhupada is saying here that one may become a philanthropist, which is not bad. One may open a hospital or a school or some other facility for the philanthropic activity. But that facility, that type of help, is just like putting a bandage on the top of an injury. When you put a bandage, it is a temporary. You have to treat the underlying cause of the disease. So philanthropic activities, they will satisfy somebody for some time. If you give food to somebody, he will be happy for some time. But then again, he will need the food. How do you provide the next part of the food again? You can't be supplying all the time. So, Srila Prabhupada is saying when you satisfy the soul, the bodily demands automatically go down actually. So one has to connect with the spiritual existence. If one wishes to benefit his fellow brother, he must awaken his dormant Krishna consciousness. The Krishna conscious position is that of Pratibuddha, which means pure consciousness. So if one really wants to help somebody, and Srila Prabhupada is saying that one has to bring him to the Krishna consciousness platform. which is to stop his repeated birth and death. So if you can stop your and somebody else's repeated birth and death, I think that is the best philanthropic activity you can do. And that can be done by Krishna consciousness. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mama Ekam Sharanam Praja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshashyami Masuchaha. So when you surrender to Krishna, then the repeated cycle of birth and death is finished actually. So no more suffering. So no more need to go into the repeated cycle of birth and death. So then when there is no suffering, then you are eternally happy. So that is the best way of following the spiritual life. So rather than suffering under the influence of material modes of nature. So with that we'll pause here. We'll continue study of Srimad Bhagavatam tomorrow. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. Thank you for joining online. Hare Krishna.